Hey, everybody, it's Dave here, and welcome to another week of the NFC North Roundtable on Fans First Sports Network. We're here today to explore the North's dominance in this thrilling Who Will Be King episode. Our hosts are going to analyze Week 6 highlights and lowlights, current standings, and preview the crucial Week 7 matchup, and we all know who that is. Discover why the NFC North reigns supreme. Oops. And it starts mid-play. Didn't want that. Come on. Oh, well, we'll go back. And here's where I start with the epic poem. There's gridiron glory in the North, where warriors clash and legends rise, from Windy City to Motor Town, and the Vikings land 'neath northern skies. The Bears, they roared in London town, with Williams' arm a sight to see. 4 touchdowns thrown, 200 yards, a quarterback's sweet symphony. In Packerland, love's passion burned. Against the Cards, he stood so tall, 254, and touchdowns 4. His medal proved one and all. But lo, the Lions, fierce and proud, in Dallas did they show their might. With Goff's 3 strikes, they crushed the boys. A 47-9 delight. The Vikings lead is mighty as we go. 5 victories, no losses yet. The Lions chase with 4-1, and the Bears in pack, not there yet. Now comes a clash of Titans bold. The Lions and Vikings meet for Northern crown and playoff dreams, a battle that can't know defeat. And Packers facing Southern foes, CJ Stroud and Texans come to play, while Bears take rest to plot and scheme for glory on some future day. So listen well, ye football fans, to tales of valor, strength, and pride. For the North, kings rise and fall, but legends, they shall e'er abide. This epic saga shall unfold as Who Will Be King tells the tale of NFC North's fierce battleground, where only champions prevail. And that was Let the Battles Begin. Hey, everybody, I do want to welcome all that's here. Got quite a few people watching. And yes, Big Rail and Dad, I get into a creative mode after a few whiskeys. And I love to associate it with the NFC North. So that's what I try to do. Sorry, the production didn't go off as well as I had hoped. I even practiced it. Anyways, I wish to welcome on the viewers left the man, the myth, the legend, the one that covers the Chi-Town Bears, Pay, from the Bear Claw Podcast. How you doing, Pay?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for that amazing opening poem, as you always serenade us with every third Wednesday. It was, you may say it wasn't your greatest, but I enjoyed it.
And in the middle, from left to right, we have June and Foster from Detroit City's Might, where they run Bleachers to Speakers. June, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. I'm trying to process football and poems. I'm just, it's not really something I'm used to, but hey.
June, how are you doing? Or Foster, how are you doing? Foster?
I'm good. There we go. There we go.
Just mess the show up, Foster.
Yeah. Hey, it's no biggie. I already did. So no.
You guys can read lips, right?
Yeah. So it's not a big deal. But anyways, let's start with week 6. And during the week 6 games, they started in the morning on Saturday morning with the Bears traveling to London, playing at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, against the Jacksonville/English Jaguars. How did that turn out?
The game turned out amazing. The Bears did what they're supposed to do. They went and defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars in their pseudo home turf. They fought I think you would have thought Jacksonville was better playing in England. Well, yeah, in England. They're only 6-6 after Sunday playing over there in London. That's crazy. But anyway, the Bears won their 9th consecutive game as the home team. An asterisk, put that in asterisk, because they were technically the home team Sunday, but they were just playing in London, Jacksonville's second home. They destroyed them Jaguars, as Dave said, the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence and his team was coming off their best game of the season. They was coming off a win, and they got brought back to reality in the quickest fashion as well. They started the game hot. They went down the field. They got the little field goal, and then it was all downhill from there. Caleb had, again, his best game of his career. Should have had 6 touchdowns, settled for 4. If he didn't underthrow a pass that went to an interception, that'd have been a touchdown. If DJ Moore got 1 more inch on a touch pass, that'd have been his 3rd touchdown for DJ Moore. But four touchdown passes, 50 yards rushing for Caleb. I believe I heard that's the first time that's ever happened in a London game. Well, the kid, I mean, he's already the greatest Chicago Bears rookie quarterback of all time, and it's only after 6 weeks.
And that's not a high mark to achieve either.
It's definitely not. It's the first step.
Now, one of the guys here said, yeah, but you haven't played anybody.
So, slow down. The Bears didn't make their schedule. If the Bears had lost to any of these teams, you'd have said, oh, the Bears are trash. They're losing to 1-win Carolina, 1-win Jacksonville. So damn if you do, damn if you don't. You did what you're supposed to do to trash teams. A good team is supposed to destroy a trash team. A good team is supposed to turn that sumbitch sideways, stick it straight up their candy ass, and that's exactly what the Bears did.
Okay,
that's exactly what they did. And I'm gonna give the mic back to you, Dave, in just 1 second. Carolina Panthers was coming off their only win of the season when they went to see the Bears. They was on a high mark. Same thing with Jacksonville. So those two teams were on the trending up, right? We got them at their best. We took their best punch. We got them at their highest, and gave them the business. I don't know about, ain't played nobody, but everybody's a professional in this league. and we handle it what's put in front of us. We're not playing with our food. We devouring the whole plate. We cleaning the plate.
Hey, that's good. Big Rail and Dad, a friend of mine, says if Williams is that successful with the worst O-line in football, think what will happen if he ever gets a great one.
Hey, look, I don't want the camera to start moving all over the place. Don't get me excited. Don't get me too excited. I want to keep the table level.
Okay. Well, we all do play the AFC South and the NFC South this year. And it's just the AFC South is the softer part of the schedule. You've been through most of it. Packers have been through quite a bit of it. There's going to be times when our schedules get a little easier or tougher on how the season plays out. But speaking of playing out, I want to hear from the boys from Detroit on how they went down to Dallas, Jerry World, and helped celebrate Jerry's 80th birthday.
Well, we gave Jerry a birthday spanking. Almost 82. Well, we gave him half, a little bit more than half of the 82 licks for his 82nd birthday, 47. But hey, belt to ass.
Yeah.
But you had a little blue on blue casualty there.
Yeah, it was a bittersweet day. Of course, everybody knows Aiden Hutchinson broke his leg, his fibula and tibia, and he's out for the season. It was one of those things where it happens in the game, and it just takes away, like, it went, the mood, the whole energy just went bad. I think it was like a 15-minute break, several commercial breaks, and you still see him laying on the field, and then you see the cart. It's never good when that cart comes out. It's just like never good. And it was a bittersweet moment after the day was over. So,
well, legs aren't supposed to bend that way.
No.
Mm-mm. What was he came out of surgery. He's out for the season. Has that been confirmed that he's out for the season? Or is that just
It's been confirmed? It's assumed, but the nature of the recovery time, the time frame does not fit within the season.
Do you know if they had to put any hardware in?
They had to put a metal rod in his leg.
Oh. That's a shame, especially with the game this week. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But
yeah, I mean, you lose he's Detroit's best defensive player by far.
So, well, it happens. It's happened to the best of us. Now, is Detroit, Big Rail Dad asked another good question. Is Detroit going to be targeting a trade now for an edge?
I think that, I think that they took calls on Hassan Reddick. We've made a couple small moves to kind of add depth to the team. But I mean, I don't think Brad Holmes isn't really known for those type of trades. So I'm not really holding my breath. Obviously, people are throwing out a lot of mock trades, and people were even requesting trades to address the other side opposite Hutch. So it kind of makes it seem like it's even more imperative now that we don't have that game stopper on either side. But we'll just have to see what. Well, first we're gonna get a very good test this week, going against a divisional opponent, especially an undefeated one, just to kind of see where we're at and how rough things might get without our the heart and soul of our defense. But we got a lot of guys that are having career years and making an impact on the defensive side. So I think that we're gonna be able to rally and try to make up the make up for the void left behind, because the defensive line as a whole had a very strong game against the Dallas Cowboys.
Was it the line so good or the Cowboys that bad?
I'm sure it's a combination of both, but Levi Onwuzurike, he went into the game with 3 sacks. Ali McNeil, he's been really good thus far. He just got, interesting enough, he got his extension yesterday, which was interesting timing with Hutch going down just days before, and then of course DJ Reader has stepped in and made an impact on the run defense and taking up all those blockers. So we came into the year pretty deep at the defensive line position. Like the guy said, Kyle Pecco is also out for the year. So we definitely got some guys going down just as fast as we can bring them in here. But, this is a team, it's the all hands on deck, next man up mentality. So they're gonna rally around their leader, I believe.
Okay. Interesting. And as everybody knows, the Vikings had their bye week, and we were sitting there watching football and trying to catch up on certain things. Production-wise, we're back to full schedule, and we are getting ready for Week 7. But before we get to Week 7, the biggest shock around the league is when everybody looks at the NFC North.
Mm-hmm.
We happen to be the best division in all of football.
Oh, yeah.
We all are above 500. We all have positive point differentials to the point that if you sort the entire league by point differential, guess who comes in 1, 2, 3, and 4 on that list? The NFC North. It is unbelievable. We said it at the beginning of the season that we thought this might be the toughest division in football, and we were correct. The AFC North is going to diminish that crown or release it this year, unless there's some catastrophe between now and the end of the season. So, why do you think we are so good? Okay?
Other than what you said, that we assumed this, we called it. I don't want to say, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back. There's still more than half the season left to go. But we all figured that we were coming into a season of building, right? We were building on the successes we had in 2023. Your team, Dave, you all had a very, very good and very aggressive defense. You pretty much kept that afloat. You lost Danielle Hunter, but you added someone who's younger and just as, maybe in some respects, as good as Danielle Hunter. He's definitely producing early in the season as a Pro Bowler / All Pro type of guy, and Jonathan Greener. Detroit Lions, we all know their story. Won the division last year, was a couple of plays away from being in the Super Bowl, and they didn't take any steps back. This is another year of getting better while building on type of progress for them. And for the Bears didn't lose anything on defense. The Bears defense was one of the best in the last 10 weeks of last year, and they retained everybody. And the young guys that they had are progressing and getting even better. Only thing they did differently was they upgraded the offense, the much maligned offense that they had in 2003. Number 1 draft pick and Caleb Williams. Added another top 10 pick in Roma Duzier. The offensive line is a work in progress. But if the offensive coordinator, which we did upgrade as well, I'm going to call it right now, it's an upgrade, Shane Waldron over Luke Getsy. is an upgrade. If we can continue to call a good game plan, we can scheme around this much maligned offensive line. I'm not going to use any bad words in describing them right now because we're on a good winning streak. I want to keep the vibes high. And the other team in the division, the team in the last place in the division, the Packers, quiet as kept. They might have had the best defensive addition in the offseason. Xavier McKinney, he's leading the league in interceptions. I think that Packers are top 5 in turnovers in the league. And that's no slight to not Calvin Noy, but Van Ginkel over there, Dave. But Xavier McKinney, he's a dog. I was upset when the Packers signed him because I wanted the Bears to feel that hole they had at safety with him. But Kevin Byard is working out so far. So listen,
to a point,
we didn't take any back steps as a division. We took what we had. If we was a 7-win team like the Bears were, or the Vikings were a 7-win team as well, right? 7-win teams. We said we're not going to go back. We are progressing as a unit, and as of right now, everything's paying off roses in the first 6 weeks of the season.
It is, without a doubt. June, Foster, you want to add anything?
A couple parallels that I've seen. One is I feel like for the most part we've all kind of complemented the pieces that we had together with pretty solid drafts. Obviously, the Vikings were able to bring in some pass rushers, and the Lions added to their secondary quite a bit, and the Bears contributed to the offense in a couple of different ways. But also, I feel like we kind of shuffled our running backs. I mean, we got Montgomery, the Bears got Swift, and then Aaron Jones went to the Vikings. So I just see a parallel in us utilizing pieces that are familiar with these surroundings and the other players within the division. Because I don't know how often you see that where we damn near all kind of swapped our running backs.
Yep.
But yeah, like you said, we all kind of anticipated that it was going to be a tight race because it was kind of a semi-tight race last year, a little bit. So it should be. I think that we'll probably all kind of beat up on each other throughout the next, as we really get into playing each other, and it should be fun overall.
It should be, and as we know, that team from Wisconsin, even though they didn't have Jordan Love in, and they actually won the 2 games when he was out, seems to be on a rebound. However, he boggles my mind sometimes the way he throws on his back foot, hopping around. I still don't think his knee is healthy, but we'll see. They keep winning after the defeat of the Cardinals this last week, 34-13. Cardinals put up no fight, but it is what it is. Our division is tough. Now, we still have to play each other. There's only been Vikings versus Packers. We won. Trying to remember who else has played interdivision-wise so far.
In our division, that's it. We was talking about this the other day.
Yeah. So it is what it is. We still got to play each other. And then, of course, at the end of the season, we'll all play each other again. But that moves us to the break, where this is the point where if you're listening on the podcast, you're going to hear stuff from our sponsors. And that's how we earn a little beer, or in my case, whiskey money. And if you're not, we're going to be right back momentarily. And we're back. All right. That was week 6 and how we are the best division in the NFL. Now on to week 7, which we only have 2 games within the division because the Bears, what are the Bears doing this week, DePay?
The Bears are going to take a page out of your guys' book and take a week off. Couldn't have come at a better time if we're being honest. The Bears went to London, and I know you probably couldn't tell by the way we thrashed those Jacksonville Jaguars, but we were down 2 potential Pro Bowlers, one of them maybe even be an All Pro at the end of the season. Jaquan Brisker, our starting for safety, he missed the game for concussion. Tyreek Stevenson, second-year player, he missed the game with another injury. Kyler Gordon, he left that game early with a I think a hamstring injury. It hasn't really been reported yet. But we're kind of banged up on defense. Banged up along the offensive line, too. Perfect time to have a break. And next week, the game the game of the week for week 8. But we ain't going to talk about that yet. But this week, we chilling.
Okay. How are you going to work on any sort of mid-season trade? Since trades seem to be flying across the board in the NFL this week.
What's crazy is the Bears actually don't need a wide receiver. I see wide receivers are just switching teams left and right nowadays. We don't need a vet wide receiver. We got enough. If the Bears were in the market for anything, they should have been acquired that player a long time ago, in my opinion. The Bears need interior linemen on the offensive line of the ball. You don't see those getting traded during the season. You rarely see those getting traded ever, right? So that's the only need the Bears have. The Bears have, we're good. We're locked up long term with every other position.
So you're not going to be sellers either.
Dave, if the Bears sell anything this season, the last show that I do, it would be on top of a tall building.
Okay.
And
I had to ask. I just had to ask. All right. There are 2 games within the division this week. First one is Packers, and they are playing. Who are they playing? I forgot already. Oh, they're playing Houston. In Green Bay, CJ Stroud will come up with the Houston Texans. I want to say Oilers because that's what I grew up with, but the Texans, and they will challenge Green Bay. I am curious to see how that game goes because we know how good Houston can be. We also know how good the Packers have played. So, Foster, who would you put your money on in that game?
Between Houston and Green Bay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, me and June was talking about this earlier, and I feel like we were kind of stumped.
I would take Green Bay at home.
Yeah. Green Bay's tough, though. Yeah. Green Bay's tough, so, yeah. And Dell's out, right, Tank?
Nico Collins.
Oh, Collins.
Yeah. We talked about that, Foster. They don't have their number one receiver. They do have Stephon Diggs, though, but at the same time, Packers at home, I'll take Packers at home.
Yeah. I hope Houston could pull that one off.
I hope I'm wrong, but
yeah, right, yeah.
Pay, you do a wagering show. What did you see the line as?
The line's been moving a little bit. The last time I looked, I saw Houston as a fave by like 2 points, I think.
Okay.
In fact, no, Green Bay's the fave by 3 as of right now. The sport book that I'm looking at. To piggyback on what June said, I kind of like the Packers as a home favorite. The the boost that the Packers get from playing at Lambeau, it needs to be studied. At least not the boost they get from Lambeau in the playoffs. That's been eradicated. That curse is over. Thanks, Mike Vick. But in season, Houston has been, their record is better than their actual play, right? Houston hasn't been, in my opinion, they haven't been as good as they were last year. Been a little bit touch and go in some areas. They're down Nico Collins, the number one wide receiver. I don't think that's going to cause them any type of concern for the next four weeks, because they still, as you said, they still have Stephon Diggs, still have Tank Dell. Those are capable receivers, and Joe Mixon is back. Joe Mixon is the key to that offense. They still have Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz is a capable tight end, but as I said earlier, the Packers, their defense is under the radar, but extremely good. CJ Stroud doesn't make a lot of mistakes as far as turnovers, but he's going to be put to the test this week. If I was to pick a winner, I got this being a close game, as the line suggests, and I think the Packers can win 1 or 2 points.
Okay. Well, like I said, we all hope they don't, but we'll find out. It's a noon game. None of us will be watching, because we'll all be watching the one most important game of week 7. The battle for the top of the NFC. Not only is it a battle for the division, the winner will be leading the NFC in record and in playoff positioning. And that game is where Detroit comes to U.S. Bank Stadium to play the Minnesota Vikings.
Championship game preview, Dave.
It very well could be. And now everybody's saying it's just a game. It's only week 7. It's just a game. I agree. It's just a game. But this is not just any game. The Vikings are 5-0. The Lions are 4-1. The win, if the Vikings win, makes them 6-0. If the Lions lose, they'll be 4-2. It gives Vikings essentially a 3-game lead on the division, including the head-to-head and conference tiebreaker scenarios if it comes down to that. With the exception of the Bears, because we have yet to play the Bears, but we'll have the head-to-head on the Lions and the Packers. A loss gives both teams a 5-1 record, vaults the Lions in the first place due to the team-on-team record, with all of it coming down to the Vikings traveling to Detroit. For which game, Foster? Do you remember when we play the second time?
Is it Thanksgiving?
No. June?
I have no idea.
Week 18.
Oh, the last game.
Could be for the division.
Wow.
And for home field advantage.
Could be.
Could be. It's a big game this weekend. And as Nick says, no division game is just a game. Not without. The implication of this game is massive, no matter how it works out. Now, my question to June, do you think this is a trap game for you guys? You just came off that humongous emotional win and the emotional loss of losing Aiden Hutchinson for the season. Are your guys going to be ready?
I don't think you can call it a trap game if you're if you're going up against an undefeated team and you've got a loss on your own record. I don't think it's necessarily a trap game. I do think it'll be it's one of those games where, you have to. This is the first time the Lions have lined up without Hutch since he's been here. I think this is the first game he's missed. So it's going to be a little bit of this week in practice. It's going to be a feeling out process, and I'm sure it's going to be the same thing on Sunday. So not making any excuse. The Lions just going to, just going to let it loose on Sunday. That's what it is.
Now, the only thing I fear is your coach. Coach Campbell has.
We fear him too.
The ability to get the team ready and not take the typical, oh no, we're so sad. We lost our best defender. We're playing against the number one team in the league. We're going to lose type of mentality. That he'll be balls out, to put it better. Foster, how are the injuries besides Aiden Hutchinson on your team?
You know what? I have not even looked at that. I'm not sure. Yes, we know that that Pico is out. I know Carlton Davis, because this has kind of happened right after the Hutch injury. It's kind of seemed like things were starting to pile up, but he lost his helmet and incidentally got kicked by one of his teammates. But he cleared protocol. But I guess he's dealing with a quad injury. They got Ragnow on rest. It looks like there's not any everybody wasn't a full participant in practice, but from what I can see, nobody is outside of the guys with the long-term injuries, such as this week, Peko, and Hutch, obviously, but everybody else seems to be relatively healthy.
Okay. Renee and Angie says Texans versus Packers will be a very close game, just like the Lions versus Vikings, two America's game of the week. Too bad they're played at the same time, though.
Right. Yeah.
Eric from New Mexico says Skol. Eric, welcome to the show. Randy Osborne chimes in. Vikings never play well after the bye. That is an unfortunate truth. We'll see if that changes this year. I hope it does. Now, I had asked my guys what was the injury report because I hadn't had a chance to see it for us. And it turns out it's running back Aaron Jones did not participate today. He's been practicing. He has a hip, upper hamstring. They call it a hip, but it's where the hamstring attaches to the hip bone. He's got tendonitis, basically, and it's all in how they treat it. TJ Hawkinson, who I said will probably be ready for the game, is still undetermined. He's out there practicing. He did not practice today, but according to the coach on a press conference today, he is day-to-day. We'll find out if he does practice. They asked him about the quick turnaround because we got a game next Thursday as well. And he says, well, we'll see how it goes. That may not determine it. It's going to determine it. Most likely he's not going to play. Dalton Risner is limited. He just got put back on his IR window was opened. Harrison Phillips has a shoulder and was limited. I expect him to play and did not play as Blake Cashman due to a toe injury. It looks like a turf toe, thanks to that turf over at Tottenham. So we'll see. Jester, thank you for the super chat. And Unjust Skull Vikings. Yes. Appreciate it. All right.
I got a question, Dave. Why didn't they flex this game?
Everybody's been asking that because it's idiotic that they didn't.
I don't want to watch this game at 1:00. I want to let football build up into this game. I got to sit there and watch. You know what? I am tired of them forcing the Jets on me. I am tired of them forcing Aaron Rodgers on me. I don't want to watch him. I know what they are. They're trash. Get him off the screen. He does not deserve to have the big screen. Put him in the little box in the corner. Put the good teams on prime time. I want to see the Vikings undefeated, and I want to see the Lions, last year's
4-1.
division champions, 4-1. Put them on prime time. Get Aaron Rodgers out of here. He can go throw his receivers under the bus off screen somewhere.
The number 1 and 2 teams in the NFC, and they did not flex it whatsoever. It's mind-boggling.
It should have been a primetime game. Should have been the 8:00 Sunday night game.
It should have been something, but hey, how they do it is somewhat of a mystery. Each network can hold on to certain games. Maybe that's the case. In this case, I don't even know if it's on Fox or CBS, but it's going to be interesting. I bet it's probably the most watched game in the noon hour. But now, what somebody said when we talked about if this plays out where it comes down to the Vikings and the Detroit with the best records in the NFC down to the end of the season, and it comes down to week 18, somebody already said in the chat that'll be the final game of the regular season because that's all TBD, and they will delay that one just because it would be so important. But that's week 18. We're talking week 7 now. But I have no idea. You've got to, like I said, Green Bay plays at the same time. Nobody's going to be watching the Green Bay game. They're going to be watching ours.
And don't even discount that both games are on Fox, right? And there's also an NFC East division battle on Fox at the same time. So majority of the households going to get that game.
God, I hope not. I wonder if the viewing maps come out already. Anybody in the chat know if the viewing maps come out already? I would like to know. But now, the Vikings take on the Lions. Lions beat them last year, even though it was close in both games. We didn't have Kirk Cousins at that time. We don't have him now, obviously. We have Sam Darnold. Do you think the game is going to play any different? Do you think with the Vikings defense the way it is going to play any different? And throw Cashman most likely, I've been told, is going to be out, even though he's day-to-day with the turf toe. Most likely he's out.
I think that I think when I look at the Vikings and the numbers, I feel like their offense and defense is kind of middle of the pack. I don't think the offense is even as potent, despite the fact that they didn't have Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson played in the second game, correct? At the Lions, as far as the Lions are concerned.
Yeah, and he has his best games against the Lions.
Yeah, but I feel like even Addison isn't having such of a strong start to the year. But I think that what the Vikings have really leaned on is converting in the red zone and taking the ball away. So I think that if the Lions can win that turnover differential, obviously we didn't turn the ball over at all last week, and we had 3 interceptions and I think 2 forced fumbles. I think that if we can find a way to take the ball away from Minnesota, force them to field goals, convert our red zone opportunities, and overall, I mean, the Vikings rush defense is very strong. They're similar to us where they're very stout against the run. But if we can hold on to the ball and keep Minnesota's offense off the field, I think that's a good recipe to knock them off at home.
Yeah, very well could be. Andrew White left from the 72 Fins. Pour out the champagne for Mercury. Yep. Hey, those guys are unfortunately passing away. I was just looking up when did we play the Fins in the Super Bowl and lose to them in 73. But that comes from a question of Andrew Alasog. I'm probably butchering your name, and I apologize for that. He says, do you think the 72 Dolphins are on the phone and together worried about undefeated? No. How often has it happened?
Right.
Closest
How
one was
often?
New England.
Yeah.
That was it.
Lost the Super Bowl.
To the Giants. But anyways, now I envision this game that the Vikings, if Sam Darnold is playing well, we're going to score points because of our offense and how we like to throw, and we're going to run and throw. And that the only thing I'm worried about is your interior defensive line. I don't think, and your linebackers, your inside guys. But other than that, you're beatable on the defensive side.
What about our safeties? We got Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. They're like 2 top 5 safeties right now.
Well, yeah, but you need a whole defensive backfield, not just 2.
Yeah. No, that's true. But when you got strength in center field back there, I mean, it can help clean up some of the shortcomings of your corners.
Well, I'd say throw underneath to beat that, but Sam Darnold doesn't tend to like to throw underneath. He likes to throw to the sidelines. So we'll see. Now, the biggest matchup is going to be our defense against your offense, because your offense has been humming lately. And that's what's scary to me, is how well that sucker's been moving. Now, is it great stats? No, not really. But is 47 points or 49 points great? Yes. And how we came close to beating you twice last year with lesser defense. We have a better defense this year, even though Cashman may not play, which is no big deal. We'll either have Camus, Hill and Grazier Hill, or we'll just play with the one linebacker and we'll have 5 defensive backs like last year. But I still think it's going to be a great game. And I encourage everybody that can get the game, watch the game. Vikings are presently favored by 2.5 when I checked this morning. And that's gone up this week. We started out at 1.5, and we started out underdogs originally. You guys agree with that?
I agree.
That puts us about even on a neutral field.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great game. Can't wait.
Oh, me neither.
Cannot wait. Going to be fun. Well, guys, I think that's it. Who do you play in week 8, Pay?
The DC Commies.
The
battle for Offensive Rookie of the Year, head to head, right there.
Yeah, very well could be.
That game was actually flexed into Sunday Night Football.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Because of Daniels.
Yeah, because of Daniels. He's the story.
No disrespect to Chocolate City and Jaden Daniels. They're doing their thing, but bear down.
Speaking of bear down, where can they find you, Pay?
You can find all of our shows concerning the Bears, the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago White Sox, Cubs, DePaul, Blue Demon, Chicago Sky. All of the Chicagoland sports conversation will be happening in one central location, the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel. That's on YouTube. You can find us at just any of your podcast aggregators at the same name, Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans. We're all there. We got something dropping every day on YouTube. We try something almost every day on the podcast side. Check us out. It's a good time. You won't be disappointed.
June, where can they find your work?
You can find us on Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. and any of those podcast aggregators that Pay mentioned, just type in Bleachers to Speakers FFSN. Make sure you follow us. Download those episodes.
Okay, and of course the Vikings on Vikings First and Skull, and everybody's already watching, so you know that. But you can get us not only on Vikings First and Skull YouTube, but on all the podcast aggregators. If you have an aggregator we aren't on, we'd love to hear about it. And you can also find us over on Facebook at Vikings First and Skull, and all our partners, the Fans First Sports Network. We have written stuff there as well. So, what do we say, June? That was a hearty roar.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bear down.
and of course, Skull Vikings. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a The Bear Claw Podcast. Bleachers to Speakers. Vikings First and Skull. And of course, the Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening.